For centuries, people believed financial disasters were caused by war, famine, or plagues. But in 1720, one of the greatest economic collapses in history was caused by something far more dangerous: an idea. A single man convinced an entire nation that wealth could be created from paper, confidence, and promises. For a brief moment, it worked. France became rich overnight. Then it collapsed just as fast. Thousands were ruined, trust in money shattered, and modern finance was forever changed. The man behind it wasn't a king, he wasn't a general. He was a gambler, a fugitive, and his name was John Law. How did one man convince a nation to gamble its future and lose? In the early 1700s, Europe ran on gold and silver. Kings needed metal to pay armies, fund wars, and collect taxes. France, the richest kingdom in Europe, had a problem: too much debt, too little gold. Years of war under King Louis XIV had drained the treasury. When the king died, France was bankrupt and desperate for solutions. That desperation opened the door to an outsider with a radical idea. John Law was born in Scotland, brilliant with numbers, obsessed with probability, addicted to gambling. But Law didn't gamble for fun. He studied odds, patterns, systems. He believed money itself was flawed, not because there wasn't enough gold, but because people misunderstood what money really was. To Law, money had value not because it was metal, but because people believed in it. That belief could be managed, expanded, controlled. Before he could prove it, Law's life spiraled. After killing a man in a duel, he was arrested and sentenced to death in England. He escaped prison, fleeing across Europe, a wanted man with dangerous ideas. And that made him extremely dangerous. The Rise, Paper Money, and the Mississippi Dream. Years later, Law arrived in France at the perfect moment. The monarchy needed a miracle. Law proposed something revolutionary: a bank that issued paper money instead of gold. Incredibly, it worked. Trade increased, debt became easier to manage, confidence surged. Encouraged, Law launched the Mississippi Company. He claimed France owned vast lands in Louisiana, filled with untold riches. Shares were sold to the public, and people could buy them using paper money issued by Law's bank. This created a loop. More paper money meant more stock buying. More buying pushed prices higher. Higher prices attracted more investors. Paris turned into a financial frenzy. Servants, merchants, nobles, everyone speculated. John Law became the most powerful man in France, controlling the bank, the stock market, and the national debt. France believed it had discovered the secret to endless wealth. The breaking point, when confidence cracks. But there was a problem. Louisiana wasn't producing wealth fast enough. Paper money multiplied faster than real value. When investors tried converting paper back into gold, Law panicked. Withdrawals were restricted. That single decision shattered trust. Once people fear they can't exit, panic spreads instantly. Stock prices stopped rising. Then they fell. Crowds rushed banks. Inflation exploded. Law printed more money to save the system, but it only made things worse. In 1720, the bubble burst. Fortunes vanished overnight. Riots erupted. France was financially destroyed. Fallout, exile, and ruin. John Law fled France disguised, stripped of power and wealth. He spent the rest of his life wandering Europe, rejected by the rulers who once praised him. He died poor and forgotten. France, traumatized by the collapse, distrusted paper money for generations. But the idea didn't disappear. It waited. Modern parallels. The bubble never left. Today, paper money is normal. Central banks print trillions. Interest rates fall near zero. Asset prices soar. The Mississippi bubble wasn't a mistake. It was a preview. We've seen the same pattern repeat. Dot-com stocks, housing markets, cryptomanias, FTX. Different technology, same psychology. Cheap money creates confidence. Confidence fuels speculation. Speculation ends in collapse. Final takeaways. First, money is built on trust, not reality. Second, cheap money always creates illusions before it creates pain. And third, every generation believes this time is different. It never is. John Law wasn't just a gambler, he was a warning. Because the most dangerous bubbles aren't built on lies, they're built on belief. So ask yourself, what modern bubble are we inside right now? Comment below, what do you think will burst next? If you want more stories where history explains today's financial world, subscribe. Because history doesn't repeat, but it always rhymes.